What separates champions from all the other people is their mentality, just the way they think, the idea of the pursuit of a championship. I really apply myself to my art like a champion would.
It's going down.
My name is Alexander Lansang, and they call me Barc the Dog.
It's going down, down, down. It's going down.
I was born in Jersey City, and then I moved to the Philippines where my brother and sister were born. I lived there a few years, went to school, and got a lot of family back in the Philippines. Then I moved back here to Jersey City, and yeah, I'm a Jersey boy. I studied graphic design for 2 years in New York City, and after that I went into advertising, so I was like corporate Barc for a long time. Then I went into the music industry. I was an art director at Sony Music for a couple of years, and then I went to work at museums, and so I have a lot of history in like this corporate world. During all that time, I also did some graffiti back in the day. I do a lot of murals now and canvases, and now I'm working on gallery shows and solo exhibitions, and yeah.
Whoa, is that you, Barc?
The name Barc came from a crazy Russian friend of mine. He actually had 2 dogs, one named Rocky and one named Diesel, who passed away recently, R.I.P. Rocky was this blue-nosed pit. I drew Rocky in my style, and I had him saying Barc, and then I just kind of thought, oh, that's kind of a cool moniker, so I took it on. There's nothing complicated to it, it's nothing too complex to the name Barc, you know, it's just the sound a dog makes, and I like the idea of a simple character, of a dog, you know. I'm inspired by a lot of cartoons I watched growing up. Once I started drawing Barc, he would just appear in the background, maybe like sleeping or walking around, but I started to notice that Barc just appeared in pieces as time went on, and then that's when I actually realized that this can be something, because I like drawing it, I like the shape. It was almost like drawing cubes in math class, you know, very formulaic. Every time I draw Barc, it's the same formula and the same steps I take to get to his face and then the rest of the body. I grew up always trying to create a main character to represent myself. You know, Barc is kind of an alter ego, my spirit and a representation of myself.
It really is you. What is this place? Where am I?
My idea for Barc originally was supposed to be a cartoon, so I went on to create my own animations of Barc in my own world, and even figured out that, you know, the most free I can be is through creating artwork for myself, personal work in gallery shows and exhibitions, so I can have this vision that I want to produce as pure as possible, you know, through different mediums, not only canvases. I like to produce vinyl toys and figures. I like to produce videos and comics, and just any way to tell the story of Barc is what I'm interested in. I've always been a fan of sports because of the characters that play sports, you know. You may not think of it as an art form, but I think of sports as a physical art form. You know, you can be creative, you can play these mind games. There's so much that goes into it at the highest levels, and I really look up to these athletes because they have this championship mentality, and that's what I try to bring to the art world. This ability to perform under pressure, the dedication, the practice, it's all something that I really draw power from when I'm creating art. I feel like it's a different element than a lot of artists bring to the game, and I really like to try to be a champion in my art form. I would describe my style as world building. What I'm trying to do is blend my imaginary realm with the reality that we all experience today. So I'm trying to really take elements from the Barc universe, the Barc world, the Barc dimension, and bring them into our reality. So this is the Exerciser V6. In my mind, this machine is a way to get the demons out of you. For me, when I play sports, it's a way for me to exercise the demons out of me. So what happens here is that Dr. Barc is timing or testing or kind of just letting this Barc subject run on the machine, get his sweat out, as the demons are getting sucked out of him through this tube. Maybe the machine is even powered by a demon itself. His sweat drips onto the treadmill, into the tub, gets synthesized into this vial, which then Dr. Barc here is dripping some unholy water onto himself to bless him because there's demons all around the room. But at the same time, they're also selling capitalism. They're selling the unholy water to the public. A lot of times I paint consciously and with purpose, but then what I find really interesting about what I do and art in general is that these subconscious ideas come to the surface as you look at them, as you think of them, as you talk about them with other people. I think it's a very personal thing I'm trying to show, not really tell. But it's also kind of like secretive, you know, I really hide these things through this, like I said, distorted, fantastical realms through Barc. Barc. I just feel lucky enough to be able to create as much as I do now, and I just want to be able to create until I die. It's what I love to do, and you know, it's kind of like just bred through me. My message for other people is, I would say, to live creatively, you know, make choices that make your life interesting and do things that would add to your story. I'm Barc the Dog, and I'll see you later.